you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
Thanks for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show, live on YouTube every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at noon Pacific time. Hello to everybody that's watching it on replay. I always appreciate each and every one of you. Also, a big thank you to our exclusive founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz, 888 Tax Deal, Moskowitz LLP, for all your tax needs, because the end of the year is coming. And Steve will be joining us at some point during this show to tell us all the things we need to do to prepare for tax season. We have a great show coming up, but we have to, of course, first start out with clicking that thumbs up button. It's very simple. It looks like this, and it's on the bottom of your screen. Just click it real quickly. Helps out the show. And of course, another great way to support the show is to become a monthly Patreon subscriber. You can find the Patreon link and get all kinds of exclusive access that I have planned, especially coming into the new year, at the NikkiMedoroShow.com. You'll notice wearing a lot of the merchandise. I'm wearing the small logo t-shirt today. The big one is right there. There's a cup. There's a tote bag. There's more things coming. And if you'd like to get your hands on this merch, or Nikki Knacks, as we like to call them on this show, just go to the NikkiMedoroShop.com. You'll find all the stuff right there. We're getting some PayPal donations, and I'm really appreciating all of you. It is another click, as Mark Thompson just always loves to say on his show. Please support Mark Thompson's show. Please support Chip Franklin's show at What the Franklin on YouTube. If you want to donate to PayPal, our PayPal email is the NikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. And of course, the Super Chat is live. And I know so many of you love to donate through the Super Chat. We'll give you shout outs. We'll say thank you throughout the show. It's the $sign right below where the comments are, so you could do that there. But we just received some PayPal donations from Dallas. Pippin, you have one of my favorite names right now. Pippin is a great name. Sue-Ann always started us off with that big $100 PayPal donation, and I just love and appreciate you all, because you guys are awesome. And so thank you so much. And again, pick up some merchandise, and if you do, take a picture, send it to me. I'll throw it up on the show and give you a shout out there as well. Okay, coming up today, we will touch on in just a minute. The mess on Southwest continues. I saw this great joke on Twitter, because nobody hit the Mega Millions number. So it's like $640 million or something like that. And someone posted on Twitter, you're more likely to hit the Mega Millions than get a flight out right now on Southwest. It's just getting worse. Like I was mentioning on yesterday's show, I think this may fundamentally change Southwest's position in people's minds when they're looking to buy an airline ticket. My family is planning a huge trip. It's going to be an epic trip to Hawaii this summer. I've been saving for a couple of years for this trip, so we want to go all out. We're going to spend a week in Hawaii, and Southwest wasn't even on my radar. Not even on my radar to get a plane ticket. I didn't even look at the website. I am not using Southwest, and that's just me. And I'm not even impacted by the nonsense going on right now. So imagine all of the customers that Southwest is losing right now. So we'll talk about that. The federal government's going to get involved. The weather also in parts of this country continues to be a mess, although places are digging themselves out like Buffalo and uncovering, of course, what people have been doing while the storm has been hitting. And Buffalo's mayor is calling out looters. Now, whenever I hear looting during kind of a natural disaster, I don't know about you, but I remember Katrina and how people were called looters, largely based, many believed, on the color of their skin when they were looking for food and water, and no one was coming to rescue them. In this case, though, why are you looting? It's not like, the water is up to your neck. and you can't go downstairs to the food in your home. And so Buffalo's mayor is pretty pissed off about it. And I want to know what you think about that, because is it the same thing? If there's a natural disaster, no matter how long it lasts, are people allowed to go into stores and take what they need, or even things they don't need? A kickboxer has gone after environmentalist Greta Thunberg, and he got burned. RJ actually sent me this on Twitter, and so I have to touch on that because he was right. I absolutely loved it. New Year's resolutions. I know if you were watching Mark Thompson's show, he was talking about the different New Year's resolutions across the country and what the most popular resolution is. When we talk about this, I want you to tell me in the chat, do you set New Year's resolutions? Because there is a thought that it's not the right word for what people should do. And an even better question is, not only do you set resolutions, but should your kids? So, my son is really great at kind of setting these goals for himself. Resolutions, though, is that something that we should be teaching our kids to do? And you guys tell me. COVID is a rising concern during the holidays. There was an outbreak basically in Lake Tahoe. Kirkwood was celebrating an anniversary and had a party, and a bunch of people came out with COVID. But I think Kim had mentioned in her news yesterday, COVID wasn't even the top Google search. I mean, think about that. Of this past year, it wasn't even one of the top searches. So is that a good thing, a bad thing? As people are trying to, make their way through this triple pandemic, as it's being called, with COVID, the flu season, and RSV. There was this story that came out, I think it came out last week, though, that the cold medicines, go check your medicine cabinet. A lot of those cold medicines, if they contain one ingredient, it just may not work or do what it says it's going to do. So we'll have that news report. Social Security benefits. A lot of the denials, and this is blowing my mind. There was an article in the Washington Post looking at why people are denied Social Security benefits. Social Security, by the way, which most people, especially if you live in the Bay Area, and I know someone in the comment was mentioning before the show, it's nothing to live on. I mean, if you have mortgage or rent or any sort of bills, Social Security is not going to cover it. So you definitely need to have more of a savings, or you're going to have to keep working. But I will show you a list of jobs that the government tells people who want Social Security benefits that they can do instead of receiving some of their disability payments or whatever. And it's pretty nuts when you think about the last time this list of jobs was updated. And then we'll have some fun towards the end of the show. There's this TikToker who's kind of flipping the script on pickup lines, and I'll play you the sound of it. And it's so interesting. Do you think pickup lines ever work? Because I'm going to play you the sound of this TikToker doing this. And, there was a couple of people that denied her, but it was pretty telling what worked and what didn't. So that's coming towards the end of the show. But let's first start off and get into Southwest and the mess that continues. So let's see, out of the nearly 3,000 cancellations already made for yesterday or today's flights within, into, or out of the United States, 2,500 of them. So most of them are operated by Southwest. So 3,000 cancellations, 2,500 of them are on Southwest. It is a Southwest problem. In all, Southwest has canceled about 15,700 flights since winter weather began disrupting air travel on December 22nd. So within the past 6 days, more than 15,000 flights have been canceled. That includes the more than 23,000 flights already canceled for tomorrow. Other airlines, though, they're getting things back under control. In fact, American Airlines and United Airlines have capped prices on some routes served by Southwest so that their flights are more accessible to stranded passengers. Because here's another problem with Southwest. The lack of hiring, the fact that they don't have that hub spoke kind of thing. They don't make their flights more accessible to stranded passengers. It does not have interline agreements. It's called interline agreements with other carriers that would allow its agents to rebook passengers on a different airline. So what does that mean? That means Southwest puts on the overhead. We're not having any other flights. We're not doing rebooking until New Year's Eve. It's up to you and everybody you're stuck in the airport with to figure out your next plans. It's not like you can wait in line and a Southwest agent is going to and help you out. They can't. They can't. And so that is a huge problem. And it makes sense because I don't know if some of you go on those like discount websites where they compare a lot of flights and prices from other flights. Oftentimes on some of those websites, Southwest doesn't even show up. So I don't know if that has to do with the interline agreement or what have you, but it is crazy. Look at this. I took a picture of this. Look at this list of Southwest Airlines. Hold on. Here we go. Hold on. That's just the departure. But look at this. Nearly all of tomorrow's U.S. flight cancellations are from Southwest. Southwest is in orange. All the other airlines are in gray. I mean, that is insane. 84% yesterday, 91% of the cancellations today, 99% of all flight cancellations tomorrow will be because these people booked on Southwest. So you guys tell me in the comments, would you ever fly Southwest again? Do you look at stuff like this and be like, or is the 2-bag kind of two free check bags enough for you to be like, all right, I'll give them another shot? Because not for me. And do you know what I found out? Okay, so I was telling you that my family has been planning this huge trip to Hawaii this summer. We're actually going to go for the 4th of July. So I'm so excited about doing this. And I was like, you know what? Let's go on Hawaiian Airlines, right? Let's not only, and I'm not doing like an ad for them, but apparently I am. Not only is Hawaiian Airlines cheaper than, let's say, American when I was looking up the prices, but they give you 2 free check bags. They give you 2 free check bags. Now, I know obviously it's Hawaiian Airlines. They don't go everywhere, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not as if Southwest has a lock on this. There's a huge benefit to that. It is, again, I was a Southwest junkie. Anytime I flew, I checked Southwest first. They had the cheaper flights and I didn't have to pay for check bags. Now, after like a consistent number of these stories where it is Southwest, and I'm rethinking that whole philosophy. JT says, I went on Southwest to Maui this past summer, no issues. That's good. I mean, he did go, during the summer when I don't imagine there would be any issues flying to Hawaii. But again, I remember the story from Mexico last summer, stuck in Mexico. I mean, the line out the airport only ended at Southwest check-ins. Every other airline in the airport in Cabo, empty. They could take you right away. There is something wrong with Southwest Airlines' business model. There just is. And so, yeah, I am not going to consider them, especially when I don't want to end the trip on such a negative point or a negative moment, which is what happened in Mexico. It's terrible. David writes in, the problems at Southwest are a big opportunity for other airlines to build their brand loyalty by coming to the rescue. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nancy, I try to avoid Southwest. Their terminals are always chaos. Yeah, I mean, it is, and there's a benefit to like not having a set seat because you could maybe get there early or whatever and try and get a seat. But it is a cattle call, right? Let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. And Kim, I was saying before you came on that my family is planning a huge trip to Hawaii this summer for the 4th of July. And I was looking at flights yesterday.
What island are you going to?
Kanapali, Maui.
Maui, okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at airline flights and I did not even look up Southwest. Even though I know they fly to Hawaii, I'm not doing it. And so I said, I'm going to go to I looked on Hawaiian Airlines, and what I didn't know, because I've never taken Hawaiian Airlines, this is only my second time ever in Hawaii, they give you 2 free check bags. So it's not as if I can't get the 2 free check bags. Celeste writes in, Hawaiian Airlines, every flight I've had with them has been fantastic. So good. Yeah. I mean, I haven't booked the flights yet because we're just definitely confirming we can get the dates. But have you ever flown on Hawaiian?
Hawaiian's a great airline. Also,
Yeah.
Alaska Air goes from the Bay Area direct flights to Hawaii, so that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really thinking that a
Southwest.
lot more people are going to be like I am and not really think of
Mhm.
Southwest first when Southwest was
No.
always the first one that I chose when I was thinking of booking a flight. Karen writes in, they said last
Mm.
night the problem is Southwest technology is outdated and insufficient. Well,
Right.
whose fault is that? That's not our fault. I mean, arguably, they've been getting a lot of money. I mean, they've been one of the more popular airlines for a long time.
You know what they do on Hawaiian
Mm.
is and here, Lori was talking about Hawaiian, or Lisa rather. I've flown Hawaiian Air for years, even if I had to pay a bit more, totally worth it. Something they do on Hawaiian, I
Mhm.
think they might even do it on the shorter flights between islands. They come around with these bamboo tongs and
Ooh.
they give you a hot towel to kind
Ooh.
of,
Wash the
wipe your
day
face and your
away.
hands. And it's
Yeah.
like, I feel so refreshed and ready to get off the plane and go. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I'm really, really excited about it. But I will say this as far as the price, Lisa, I mean, I only compared it to American because my brother is going to be flying American because he flies a lot, so he gets all the deals or whatever. And American was more expensive than Hawaiian. So I was like, shoot, we'll go Hawaiian and kind of do it all. Yeah. I'm excited about it. And when I'm thinking about an airline in which I want to use,
Mhm.
Southwest is just not on the list anymore. It's just not.
And here's the question. Are you staying I would imagine if you're in Kaanapali, you're staying in a condo,
Yeah,
not a hotel?
my parents have a timeshare. So,
Okay, so then you probably have a washer dryer in the condo, right?
oh, so I don't
And
have to bring that
and
much
if you
stuff.
do, then you don't really have to bring that much stuff. Plus, you can buy some new things in Hawaii because that's always nice.
Yeah. And I'm going to be in a bathing
Yeah.
suit, I would imagine. If anything, I need to bring more bathing suits than
Yeah.
anything else.
Bring one suit, you can buy another if you need it.
Yeah,
There's towels
exactly.
in the condo, just pack light and go.
I'm
Sunscreen.
so excited. Yeah, sounds great. I'm just,
Mhm.
we're trying to find because again, like I mentioned, the last time I was in Hawaii, I was like 13 years old. I've never
Mm.
gone as an adult. So we're really trying to go all out. My kids have never been there. And
Yeah.
so I'm
I'll give you
really,
my
really
list
excited.
of places to try, things
Please
to
do.
do.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited. And then, the other fun thing that's happening on
Mm.
this trip is my niece, who's 19 now, she's coming with her boyfriend. And so
Oh,
I don't
that's
know
fun.
if you guys have gathered from and this is my family side that's going, so it's the Medoro side of the family that's going,
Right.
and we're loud.
Mhm.
It takes a certain amount of patience and understanding about how we are,
Yeah.
and so for the fact that she's bringing, and we've met him before, he's a really nice guy. We met him at their graduation. Really nice, but this is gonna be the first time that someone's bringing a boyfriend on a family vacation,
That's
so
fancy.
I am so excited. So, yeah, it's going to be a good time. And I just hope there's
Yeah.
no hiccups. And obviously, the weather's going to be beautiful. Now, I'm looking outside my window. I don't know where it is, how it is in Petaluma, where you are, Kim, but I'm being blinded by sunlight in my
I can see
eyeballs.
it coming through you can see it on the edge here with,
Yeah,
over
right in
here.
front of my face,
I'm
too.
trying to turn the camera so you can't see
Oh,
that,
oh,
but then the
no.
more I turn the camera, the more you see the shelf above me, and it's just a mess, so
No,
whatever.
I mean, my window is showing me my sunlight. I wasn't even noticing your sunlight. But yeah,
Oh,
so there is
it's all
another.
about your sunlight, is it?
Well, yes, exactly. Your sunlight looks great. But apparently, so another storm is a coming. Meteorologist Brian Garcia with the National Weather Service says we could see a brief clearing tomorrow before another storm moves in on Friday, and it'll stay
Mhm.
through Saturday, which of course is New Year's Eve. They're expecting up to 6 inches of rain and wind gusts as high as 32 miles per hour. Temperatures 40s and 50s. Now, Brian Garcia, again with the National Weather Service, told ABC7 that the odds are getting better that the skies could clear up by midnight on New Year's Eve for the fireworks or whatever. But
Mhm.
if you're driving on New Year's Eve before
Oof.
midnight, it's going to be an S show on
It's
the
just kind
roads.
of a year to stay home, don't you think?
Yes, I
Yeah.
wanted, because like I've mentioned, my daughter is celebrating New Year's in Arizona with her cousin. So my son is home. So we've been trying to figure out something, special that we could do because, his sister's not here and it's just him. Pardon me. And I was hoping to go to Great America because they do a fireworks show. But with the weather as it looks, I don't think that's going to work out. So we're going to have to find something fun to do for New Year's for my son. Now in Buffalo, they're starting to, I mean, obviously they still have to clear the roads and they're still dealing with a lot of stuff, but listen to this report. This is from WGRZ in Buffalo. And the mayor in Buffalo is pissed off because yes, it was a huge storm. I mean, they are talking about history making storm.
Yeah.
But people, of course, have been using the cover of snow to kind of commit crimes, similar to as we saw during other natural disasters. But people are saying, no, this shouldn't have happened. So here's the report.
The mayor called these individuals the lowest of the low. These are individuals that are going into businesses or going into stores, breaking in, taking items that the mayor said often aren't even related to survival, food and water. They're just items that these people appear to want. Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia said they are shifting officers, patrol officers, to take care of these incidents with the snow emergency winding down, although still a lot of work to be done. We stopped by Rick's Sports over on Allen Street, which had its windows boarded up, was one of these businesses that was broken into. I walked along Main Street today and saw two such businesses, including a Dollar General that had its front door broken in, the glass broken, items strewn across the floor, and the door is just wide open at this point for anybody who may come by in the future. There was also an instance where our Dave McKinley was out today, was flagged down actually while a Family Dollar over on Genesee and Zenner was being looted at that moment. There's folks walking away with bags of items in their hands. Again, the mayor said these individuals are the lowest of the low, referring them to them today. Over at Camellia Meats, they also had a break-in. Their register, which had no cash in it, according to the owner, was busted open. Both the owner and an employee we spoke to, or our Dave McKinley spoke to, said they couldn't believe that this was happening after such a terrible incident.
It's not about a need.
Look, exactly.
It was a storm for one day. It's not about a need.
They're breaking in, I think, the rent to own. They took TV sets. What's
And the
if
sad
they're that
thing about
hungry?
it, everybody just paid for Christmas, and now Christmas is over. People ain't gonna have a job now.
They're not looting foods and medicines. They're just looting items that they want. So these aren't even people in distress. These are people that are taking advantage of a natural disaster and the suffering of many in our community to take what they want.
Yeah, Buffalo police said they have made some arrests in some of these incidents that have been widely shared on social media and around the city. They're going to be working to make more arrests in the future and just try and get the city back into a place where these incidents aren't happening and people feel safe.
Yeah, but I just don't know how you stop looting from happening when we talked about this yesterday. They were rescuing the rescuers. The roads, were impassable. Obviously, these people were quite committed, likely went on foot, broke into these stores. Some of the doors were just left open, like they said. And it's awful. It's awful to see stuff like that happening. And I mentioned before, when I think of, news reports calling out looters, my first thought is always to Katrina and how nobody was coming to help these people. And yes, there's going to be people stealing televisions and things like that, but people were stealing diapers and food and things that they needed. And there can be some racial undertones with who's a looter and who's just trying to survive. But in this case, I mean, it does seem like people are taking advantage of the situation. And yeah, they should be found and if possible, punished because businesses shouldn't be robbed simply because, there was a major storm that was hitting the area. And so, but I bet it's going to be pretty difficult to find those that looted it unless they have cameras that were working at the time. And as we know, power was out and there was all kinds of messes out on the roadways. We will continue to talk about this in just a moment. I want to play you in just a moment a Fox News guest host by the name of Katie Pavlich. And not only was she, she was giving props to the Buffalo mayor for calling out the looters, but then she was defending a company that, I don't know, I found it a bit laughable. But you guys tell me what you think. But before we do that, I want to bring in someone that I don't laugh at because he knows his stuff. He's our exclusive founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz. Steve, you have helped so many people. And as we head toward the end of 22 into the year 2023, I am sure there are a lot of people who call you and say, What do I need to do? If I can't get my act together, is it going to be too late in 2023? What kind of conversations are you having right now?
I'm saying, let us do for small business what the Fortune 500 have done forever. Look at how much money they make, billions in profit, and they don't pay any taxes. When I get new clients, I say to them, so do you think you make more or less than Apple Computer? And we all laugh. And they say, oh, I make less than Apple Computer. And I say, yeah, but guess what? You pay more taxes than they do. How's that possible? Because our tax law has two purposes. One is to collect money from us. We all know that one. But also there's a system of incentives in there, because in a democracy, even if something is good for the economy and the government wants you to do it, they can't order you to do it. So how does the government get you to do something they want you to do, but they can't order you? They pay us, and they pay us through tax incentives. So one of the things we offer, we have a bunch of people in the firm in different areas, and companies have whole departments of people like me doing this all day long. Like Tim Cook admits in Apple that he was amazed how much time he spent with Apple's tax lawyers working with them. So a small business can't afford a staff of people. Mm-hmm. A small business can't afford, or really it doesn't even need a full-time controller, a full-time HR person, a full-time this and that. So what we do is we give them part-time people. We come in and we can be your controller for just what you need, and your HR just for what you need, and the tax planning for just for what you need. That's how a small firm can have all the benefits of a giant firm at just a fraction of the cost. That is what we should be doing for you in 2023.
That is amazing, because I think there's a lot of people who, know you're a tax attorney and they're like, but I'm just me. It's just me and maybe 5 other people or whatever. And I'm a small company. But I like that you're explaining to people you don't need to be a Fortune 500 company, but you do need to have a tax attorney and the experts to call when you have a question, so you don't find yourself in trouble where they're going to run into problems with
or
the
just
IRS.
paying too much. Because I always talk about March Madness. I'm not talking about college basketball. Right around March, everybody's complaining, oh, they're paying too much taxes. There must be some secret handshake. The big companies make so much and they don't pay taxes. What's the secret? I'm telling you the secret. That's why I went to law school when I was practicing as a CPA, to find out how to do this stuff. And what we do is we offer small business what the big businesses have had all these years.
Well, I love it. So get Steve on your side now. Give him a call, AAA Tax Deal, or find him online at moskowitzllp.com. That's 888 Tax Deal, or moskowitzllp.com. Thanks, Steve. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, Kim.
All right, have a good one. Yeah, so give him a call. I mean, it's not as if time is running out, but there are things that you want to do before the end of the year. And then there are things that Steve can help you do right after the year. So don't think that, if you're watching this, 5 days from now, that there's nothing Steve can do to help. He's the guy to call. So just again, AAA Tax Deal, moskowitzllp.com. Before we get to Kim's news, I do want to play you the soundbite. Now, this is from Fox News guest host Kate Pavlich. Now, she was responding to the Buffalo mayor that I had just, the report that I had just played you, calling looters, the lowest of the low, that there's no reason for this to happen, that they're going to hold people accountable. But at the same time, there is this thought process of who's the enemy, who's the villain in situations like this? I know a lot of people say, what happened to climate change when they see snow, not understanding the idea of extreme weather events or anything like that. But here is guest host Kate Pavlich.
Good that the Buffalo mayor is speaking out against the looting and calling these people the low of the low. However, when it comes to New York's bail laws, if these people are even arrested, they'll be let out for doing this. And so, his policies and the policies he supports, and Governor Kathy Hochul standing right next to him, these people aren't going to be punished for taking advantage of people when they're stuck at home or dying in cars because they're freezing to death. I mean, the fact is that they're criminals. They broke the law. There was a ban on driving. They still went to these stores, then committed more crimes. So for the mayor to then say now, well, these people are bad people. Of course they are. What are you going to do about it to make sure that this doesn't happen again, or to deter this kind of behavior? The other thing I would say about what's going on with the weather,
listen to this.
The oil and gas industry has been completely demonized for the past 2 years. And the reason why more people didn't die as a result of these storms, which you cannot control despite people's feelings about climate change, is because people have access to cheap energy. It used to be a lot cheaper to keep them alive. And so they're not heating their homes with solar panels. They're not heating their homes with windmills. They're heating them with fossil fuels. And because of people who go to work every day to work on pipelines and to make sure that things run accordingly, and they've gotten no thanks, only vilification from the federal government and also from local governments as well.
I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, Katie. It's not as if we're saying there's not a need for heating homes or doing any of those things. It's moving away from fossil fuels that make greenhouse gases worse, that increase, the climate change that we're seeing that's leading to more of these extreme weather events. It's not something that we can flip a switch on and change immediately. But I don't think anybody that sees the guy working on, the lines, the gas lines or the power lines is like, that's the enemy. Nobody's saying that, Katie. It's a bit of a stretch. So just stop it. I don't think the oil and gas companies are crying right now. They haven't been. They're making a ton of money. Yeah. So just stop already and trying to make this environmental kind of point. Speaking of environments, after Kim's news, remember that guy that was tracking Elon Musk's jet and then he took off Twitter and everything like that? Well, he's back. He's back on Twitter and he's being allowed to stay. So I'll explain why that's happening. Okay. I have to show you, and we'll get into this kickboxer who tried to take on environmentalist Greta Thunberg and got burned badly. I don't think she's not a child anymore. I think she might be 19. I could be wrong about her age, but she's a bit older. But yeah, she's clapped back at him and I believe won. And thanks to RJ, a viewer that showed me that tweet. Democrat Julian Castro, a former mayor of San Antonio, has a year-end message for Republicans and use a little saucy language. And then we'll go to the border of El Paso and show you a news report from CNN there. And while sad and tragic about what is happening there, I'll ask you guys in the chat if it does anything to change your opinion about what's happening at the border and this whole idea of busing people away from that border into, more democratic cities, such as the house of Kamala Harris, the vice president, on Christmas Eve. Is this proving a point? Because it is a very touchy subject in this country. But first, let's take a look. Go ahead.
Just the thought of that on Christmas Eve, sending people to nothing. Mm-hmm. There's nothing there for them. There's nothing that's going to happen. It's just it's the antithesis of Christmas spirit, of giving, of brotherhood. Just it sucked. I just thought that was a really, if you want people to be on your side for something, that kind of cruelty, that doesn't sway me. I don't know if it sways other people, but that doesn't go
I'll show you this news report and I'll show you what El Paso is looking like. And is that using our humanity by what we are seeing happening there? All right, let's take a look at some news. We'll get to that right after.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. The issues plaguing Southwest Airlines are beyond weather-driven. In an interview with ABC News, U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said the mass cancellations and the delays impacting travelers with Southwest show a system failure. Southwest has canceled more than 2,500 of its flights today as of 10 a.m. Eastern, that according to FlightAware. I have a friend, a teacher. Boy, I'll tell you that teachers are the ones that need the breaks, right? She had planned a winter break a couple of days in Palm Springs, went to the airport. Nope, Southwest said, we're not flying to Palm Springs today. So her trip canceled. And that's what's happening to so many people. They go to the airport and find out that's it. There's a man accused of attacking Paul Pelosi, 82-year-old Paul Pelosi. He's pleading not guilty again. This is David DePape facing numerous charges, including attempted murder, after allegedly breaking into the couple's San Francisco home, wanting to kidnap House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, but only finding her husband. His next court appearance will be February 23rd to set a date for his trial. Of course, everybody following it in the case of Paul Whelan. Today marks 4 years since former Marine Paul Whelan's detention in Russia. The Biden administration renewing now its commitment to bring him home. He is serving a 16-year sentence on espionage charges that the United States claims are baseless. There he is now. Here he is when he was a Marine, a United States Marine. The administration was criticized, the Biden administration, for failing to secure Whelan's release following the release of WNBA star Brittany Griner, who was detained in Russia on drug charges. Again, 4 years he's been over there. They think he committed espionage. Looks like he's caught up in some type of political thing. Whew. Okay, so we're talking about heavy rain and winds. Nikki said it. We're going to see it again, probably over New Year's. And snow also in the story along the West Coast this week. Atmospheric rivers, a river in the sky there, will be driving moisture from Washington down to California through the day. The storms have already resulted in large numbers of power outages, and flash flooding remains a concern as well. Looks like today's the break in the storm, and then it moves back in for tomorrow. We've got a lot of new laws on the books in California. The new year just days away. The CHP reminding residents about some new traffic laws going into effect. All right. The changes include a crackdown on street takeovers and speeding, sideshows, street racing, and speeding over 100 miles per hour that result in a death will now be considered gross negligence. Drivers will also have to move over one lane or slow down before passing bike riders. That's new in California. So again, slow down or move over one lane before you pass a bicyclist. Recycling centers will be required to keep records of vehicle information when removing catalytic converters as part of an effort to crack down on the theft of those parts as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you this picture because it went viral. It was a brawl at Disneyland, right? And that was the one that went viral. The fights are not among one race or another. This just happens to be the most publicized one. But violence in the happiest place on earth has Disney park officials issuing a courtesy warning to guests now. This comes as the number of fights has increased at Disney parks. Disney parks has also seen an increase in brawls, guests mistreating cast members, even arrests since reopening after the pandemic.
I know why this is happening. I know why this is happening.
Tell me.
It's because they charge too much money. And I'm not even kidding. When you feel like you're having to invest all this money into something, you want it to be perfect. So if you're waiting in too long of lines and all this other stuff is happening, you're not feeling you're getting the return on the investment that you're making. And I bet you dollars to donuts, if it was cheaper, they wouldn't be saying those sorts of things. That's my theory.
So before the pandemic, I went to Disneyland to celebrate my son's birthday, and he loves dancing and music. And so we were in this Disney dance party area with the characters, cast members, whatever, dancing. And I have a video that I'll download and show you. I don't have it on the system right now, but my kids are dancing with Goofy.
Okay.
And this lady walks up and she grabs Goofy's rear end. His back is to me, and she walks up and she grabs his butt. And Goofy just spins around and is like, no, no, no. And you don't really notice, but there are cast members that stand aside.
Oh, right. Yeah. Like security. Yeah.
And they came and they're like, she had to, leave. They
good.
All the kids on the dance floor were like, what's happening? And Julia happened to see the goosing of the, really, you're going to go to Disneyland and you're going to grab the, Goofy's butt. That's what you think is fun for a night. So I understand. And now Disney's like, yeah, you know what? We're done with it. We're issuing a courtesy warning to guests now. The courtesy warning comes probably before something else and some type of new rules about, being on your best behavior when you're in Disney parks, because it's a place where we're all together. We're all trying to have fun. And then you've got a group ruining it for everyone, right?
I will say this, when we went to Disneyland, and yes, it was, the whole COVID restrictions and but I will tell you, it was nice to not be experiencing the crowds. Look, and I'm not justifying it. I don't care how crowded it is. It doesn't mean that you should not, do things like that. But you can't squeeze people in like this and then charge them an arm and a leg. It's not good business. How about that? It's not good
Yeah.
business. You're setting yourself up for, heightened emotions, people getting pissed off. And yeah, I just wish they would lower their capacity. It seems, and Eric was saying that Disney parks have gone to absolute crap under the last CEO. No maintenance on rides, not enough staff to keep things clean. Obviously, the old CEO is coming back. So Bob Iger. And so, maybe things will change. But again, they need to reduce capacity and they need to stop raising the damn prices. It's out of control what they're charging people. It just is. I think that they should do something about that.
And I think there's something to, shoving so many people into a small space. That how many people can you really fit? And then you're standing in line and then you're, getting frustrated over that. And so there is something to that. But also, I think, I don't know, I think during COVID, the pandemic, and even post COVID, people just have a lot of pent up frustration in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
So it's probably a little bit of both, I'm thinking,
Well, I mean, if I'm paying how much hundreds of dollars for my family to go to Disneyland and I can only get on 3 rides because the lines are 3 hours long, Disneyland needs to do something about that because I have no control over that. I have control over whether or not I'm going to pay, but they need to better manage their crowds. And if that means fewer people inside the park, I'm sorry, you're still making a ton of money. It's greed.
Yeah.
It's greed, plain and simple.
This report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with the good old taxes, you got to call Steve Moskowitz. 888-TAX-STEAL. You can see it at the bottom of your screen, MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
And Kim, myself, and my co-anchor, canine co-anchor Nugget right over here, just snoozing away if you can hear the snoring. Okay, so Elon Musk, he's, Twitter's been changing. I was on with Chip Franklin on his podcast, What the Franklin, earlier. And I was saying, because government officials are no longer allowed to have the TikTok app on their work phones because of, security issues or whatever. And I was saying to Chip, look, yes, I have TikTok. I'm not on it all the time. I usually do it because I like the way that they can make the short videos and put them up there, but I'm not like spending a lot of time on there. I like kind of the user interface. And I said, Twitter is dying, and Chip disagreed. He was saying, no, Twitter will be around for years. We'll see. I mean, I don't think it's going to look like what it used to look like because it doesn't look like that now. He's been kicking people off. He was kicking journalists off. Some of them got back on the platform. And then one person who was kicked off was this guy his name is Jack Sweeney. He was 20 years old. He is 20 years old. And he managed the account that tracked Elon Musk's flights. And so it was called Elon Jet, at Elon Jet. And you could see, and it was based on public information. I mean, he found this and put it all together and posted it, but it was based on public information. Well, he was suspended because Musk declared that the platform would suspend any account doxing real-time location info of anyone. So now Sweeney still posts real-time information on Musk's jet through other social media accounts, but for Twitter, he delays it by a day. So the new handle is at Elon Jet next day, and that apparently gets around the new doxing policy. He told Business Insider he's providing manual updates on Twitter while he works on getting the account automated, but he claims that his new account has already been shadow banned, which means like you're not showing up and you're not kind of seeing the same type of feed. Musk just doesn't like to be tracked. He should just say that. But yeah, he's just kind of being sensitive about the whole thing. I don't know if Twitter is going to last. I'm not interested, in where Elon Musk is flying to or not flying to. But yeah, if you are, it's up at Elon Jet next day. A good reminder from Troy: smash the like button. It's a thumbs up right underneath there. You can show what you like and what you don't like. Talking about social media, though, Lori asks, why don't you have an Instagram for the show? Now I have mine. It's Nikki Medoro on Instagram. One for the show. I guess I could do a separate one. Again, it's just me handling all my social media feeds. I don't know if I can get that automated, but perhaps. Let's see. I have an at Nikki Medoro on Twitter. I have Nikki Medoro on Instagram. Nikki Medoro on TikTok. Nikki Medoro on Facebook. I'm just kind of keeping them all Nikki Medoro. So you could kind of find me there. And then it's the Nikki Medoro Show on YouTube. So you could find me. Instagram is one of those that I should be on it more, doing it just for the show. Perhaps, maybe I'll look into that. I love it. Lori writes, have your kids do it. Child labor, Lori. In all honesty, my daughter does help me with like editing videos sometimes, especially on TikTok, because I'm like, I don't get it. And kids just understand that interface.
Give it to me
so quickly. And so I'm getting better at it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Karen writes in, the guy tracking Musk is using publicly available information, and now he's got a lot more publicity. Bad move, Musk. You've accomplished the opposite of what you wanted. Yeah, I definitely think that. Another person who may have underestimated his, I don't know, his hilarity. So there's this kickboxer by the name of Andrew Tate. If you're into kickboxing, you've probably heard of him. So he tweets to Greta Thunberg, who's, the teenager who had the climate change protests. It started with just her and it's expanded worldwide. So he writes to her. This is the tweet he sends out. He says, hello, Greta Thunberg. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has this. My 2 Ferraris have that. This is just a start. Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions. Now, you have to ask yourself, why would a kickboxer try to call out Greta Thunberg except for clout, right? He's just trying to get attention. There he is, filling up his gas guzzling sports car, which he's entitled to have. I mean, nobody's saying you can't own these cars. We're just asking you to be a little more thoughtful in these sorts of things, asking car manufacturers to develop technology so they don't emit so much emissions. We're not asking for the world here, people. Well, Greta wasn't having it. Ooh, what is that?
Oh, it's Julia's was calling me, and her ringtone is Olaf's In Summer song.
Oh, that's funny. I don't have any dedicated ringtones. That's cute. All right. So here is Greta's clap back to Andrew Tate. Yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com. I absolutely love her clap back. It is so perfect because what are you trying to prove? It's one thing to want to buy the cars that you want to buy. And that's fine. It really is. You have the freedom to do these sorts of things. Now, apparently he was fine with it. He tweeted back to her, how dare you? Which of course is making fun of her speech. I think it was to the Climate Change Commission, right? How dare you not think about our future? You're not thinking about it. And it's been mocked many, many times. But he's just, I don't know. You're targeting what, a 19-year-old who's just trying to better the world. And I just don't think it's the own that he thought it was going to be. But that's Andrew Tate being a jackass, in my opinion. And again, thank you to RJ who tweeted that at me. He's like, Greta with the fatality, Nikki Medoro, you'll appreciate this one. And I did, RJ. I absolutely did. Speaking of saucy language, Julian Castro, Democrat, former mayor of San Antonio. He served under President Obama. He was on with MSNBC. And I'll play you the sound. And he was talking about, what's the situation that's happening at the border. Okay. He told MSNBC that Republicans are acting heartless by sending migrants from cities flooded with a border crossing surge to states that are home to Democratic politicians. Now, like we mentioned, a bus full of migrants was sent this week from Texas to outside the Washington, D.C. home of Vice President Kamala Harris. And so Julian Castro was being asked, whether something can be done about the situation at the border, which is untenable. And in a moment, I'll play you a news report from CNN that was in El Paso, but this is what Julian Castro had to tell, let me actually get this picture off real quick, had to tell MSNBC, because I do hold out hope that he may be correct.
Yeah, I mean, look, we absolutely could. You've got a Democratic president, a Democratic Senate, and a Republican House. So I've seen in the past that where you have divided government like that, it actually provides an opportunity for compromise and for people to come together and sit at the table and work something out. But, it's going to take a lot better faith among Republicans to actually do something about immigration rather than just using the chaos and everything or creating chaos and using that as their number one political boogeyman, which is what they do now. It's their number one boogeyman.
Yeah, I wonder what your message is to the Abbotts, to the Duceys, to the DeSantises of the world.
Well, I would ask them to stop being pricks, first of all, because that's what they're doing, and stop being heartless, but also to actually help us solve this issue, solve this challenge, rather than just trying to become the next Republican president in a few years.
Stop being pricks. That they probably repeated that a million times behind closed doors. It is heartless. But I want to show you this CNN report. And I'm going to be honest. When you see this, your heart goes out to the people that are there. But then there is this question of how long can this continue? We have to do something. I hope Julian Castro is correct. I hope that the sharing of power leads to compromise and not deadlocked. Nothing happening at all. So let me share this with you. I'm going to actually show you this news report because you have to see the visual of it. It's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Rosa, what are you seeing this morning? We see all the people there behind you.
Jessica, what I hear here are just heartbreaking stories. I just met a mother. She doesn't want to be on camera, but she stood out to me because she's sitting on the side of the street with her two daughters, and her daughters, you can tell, have what appear to be burns on their little faces. And so I asked her how they were doing, and she says that those were burns from the cold, from them riding on a train in Mexico, from Mexico City to Juarez. And that just shows the conditions that these individuals have to go through. But she says that she's here deep in faith, hoping for a better opportunity. In a sense, these are the roots of the American dream that you see around me. Let me show you around while I tell you a little more about what's happening here in El Paso. This is a church that turns into a shelter overnight. Capacity is at about 120, 130. So a lot of the people that you see here end up sleeping on the street because the church fills up very quickly. Now, people from El Paso drop off clothes like what you see here, and they drop off food. There's another group back here who brought hot chocolate for all of the individuals here. Jessica, there is so much need. A lot of these migrants don't have money to leave El Paso. They don't want to stay in El Paso. They're hoping to go to other parts of the United States, but they don't have money. They don't have transportation. They don't have family in other areas. And so they're really stuck here. And officials in El Paso say it's testing the infrastructure of this city because there are limited bus lines that leave El Paso. There's only limited flights that leave every day. And with the recent cold snap and all of the delays and cancellations around the country, it's only going to make that situation worse here in El Paso, one official tells me. So Jessica, there's just a lot of need, a lot of desperation, a lot of pain here, and a lot of people who are cold and hungry.
All right. So you guys tell me, when you watch that news report, what do you think? Because I saw it and my heart was hurting for these people.
Yeah.
But I also, and I'm going to be completely honest, they can't just deal with it in El Paso. You saw the number there, 1,500 people a day are coming to El Paso, Texas. What do you want them to do? They have to do something with these people. So we have to find them shelter and food immediately. That's obviously the first need, right? Then what? Because I don't have the answer. This
You
is
know what I want?
but
I want the situation to be dealt with without cruelty.
right.
I want us to use kindness. I think Americans are good people.
Mm-hmm.
I think we care. I don't think we don't like to see people suffer.
Right.
I think we all know there's room for people. You see signs on restaurants all over the place, help wanted. Some
Right.
restaurants are having to close down for a lack of workers. We know there's room for people here. Use kindness. I just, putting people that have gone through this on buses and shipping them to the vice president's house on Christmas, that's not kind. I
It's
want us
not.
to do I want us to do something else, and we can do better.
Okay, so what does that look like to you? What does that look
I'm
like to you?
disgusted. I'm disgusted.
So what does that look like to you? And I don't mean to like kind of be pushing you here, but
Yeah.
of course I agree with you. Kindness. Okay, what does kindness look like? Does kindness mean keeping them in El Paso? When you just said in that news report, they don't want to stay in El Paso. Okay, where do they go? Do they go to places with services, right? I mean, what do we do for these people so that they have somewhere to go? And who pays for it? Does El Paso pay for it? Do the states that are welcoming them pay for it? These are the nuts and bolts decisions that need to be made
Right.
with a heart. I don't think that sending them to a place that's one, not expecting them, right? Not expecting them and have no services is using your heart, right? It's not using your heart. It's not showing the rest of the world what we are as Americans. It's just not doing any of those things. And so, but I just don't know what the answer is. I really
Well,
don't.
I think if I put myself, it's hard for me to put myself in their shoes because I'll never fully understand the predicament and what they've been through.
Right.
But if I think to myself, okay, if I was going to leave America, right? And I was bound for somewhere in Canada, right?
Mhm.
And I get to the border and they let me in. What's my next move? I
Right.
go there having a plan. I don't go there just going, as long as they let me in, everything will be fine. So that they arrived with nothing to help them get to their next destination, or they arrive with no plan. That's not good either, And so
No.
I think maybe having someone that will help people devise a plan or, come up with something for them that they can work toward. I'm not saying give them a bus pass or give them money or, say, let's help you break the law and stay in the United States illegally. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that, that possibly there should be some type of widespread, I don't know, plan in place to help people that are coming here before they even get here, devise some type of system that they know what they're going to do when they get here.
Yeah, but I think the problem there is if, and I'm just playing devil's advocate with what you're saying. So if we have a good system in place, then does that just invite more people to come when we know we can't house the world?
No, but
The
we can't
best-
stop them from coming either. I mean,
Right.
as long as I've been alive, this has been a problem and no one has solved
Oh,
it.
yes, exactly.
People are going to come here. So now we have to deal with that.
I think the best way, one of the best ways of dealing with it, of course, is to make where they're leaving as much as we can better. We need to invest in their homes. And I know that sounds like, why? We have problems at home. We should putting our tax dollars at home. I get that argument, but this is a home-based issue because we've been dealing with it our whole entire lives. So if we could set up some sort of system that those that need to escape have a place to go to, but those that just want more opportunity, like that CNN reporter was talking about, all right, well, let's make opportunities there. Let's invest in some of those areas. Let's create jobs in some of those areas. Let's work together so that it doesn't become this thing where people are desperate to get here and desperate not to leave. And if I had the answers, I'd run for president of the United States, but I don't, because this is a complicated issue. It is so hard. But I don't think this knee-jerk reaction of busing human lives, human beings, children, to God knows where, that may not have any services ready for them whatsoever, is in any way, shape, or form a symbol of who we are or want to be as a country. And it's disappointing. It really, really is disappointing that Republicans don't see that. And I do hope Julian Castro is right. I do hope there is some compromise, but you know what it's going to have to take? It's going to have to take us, the voter, once again, standing up to politicians and showing, you know what? We're done with the bickering. We're done with the calling out of the problem with no real solution. We want you to work together. We want you to treat people like human beings. We want, to live up to the ideals that we have as a country. And yeah, I love this. Yeah, Lori, if Ukraine's an investment, then so is south of the USA. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, we're just meat suits spinning around on a rock in space, that believe in God, some of us, and some of us don't. But we're just, fighting over this land when we could be helping each other. right? And extending the table and doing those sorts of things. So yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed that something happens.
One thing that gave me hope there was, did you see all the people behind the reporter dropping off sweaters?
Yes, exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
okay, there's some people that get it. There's some people that
They
know
don't.
that help is needed. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some people that are mean.
Yeah.
But others are showing kindness, and hopefully the people that are coming here feel the kindness.
Yeah, I think that it's just also the hypocrisy of it all. Certain politicians touting, oh, there needs to be God in school and,
Yeah.
we're Christians. And then when literally you can display your religious beliefs in the moment, they choose not to. And they choose politics and all that sort of nonsense. And it's disappointing. Click the thumbs up button before we go to Kim's news. Someone in the chat was asking about PayPal. PayPal donations can be made to the show, The Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. The Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. You can also become a Patreon subscriber, which we love and adore. And I promise I'll be making some more exclusive content like I did over Christmas. If you are a Patreon subscriber, please log in because I have 2 videos up. The latest one, I share a Medoro family recipe that I'd love for you guys to try. And if you do, please let me know. But more of those videos are coming in the new year. So if you want to be a Patreon subscriber, just go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com and you can find us there. I do want to say thank you to Richard starting us off with a $20 super sticker during the show. Love you. You can donate super stickers in our comment just by clicking that $sign. It helps us out so much and shows us that you like the show. You like what we're doing. It's really easy peasy and you could do it right through there. So thank you, Richard. We really appreciate you starting us off on the super chat and donating to the show. So again, those are all the ways you can support. It's also in the about section of the shows. I try to put it in the details of the show. So all the links are, of course, right there. When we come back, we are going to talk about New Year's resolutions. You tell me if this is something you do. Have you ever completed one? Have you ever set a New Year's resolution and actually done it? Okay. What was it? And then I wanted to, do you urge your children to set New Year's resolutions? Because there's some thinking that maybe that's not the best thing that you should be doing. Also, coming up in the next hour, we'll talk a little bit about, where was it? Oh, Social Security. So Social Security, disability benefits, all those sorts of things, they're being denied in many cases because of a list that is so antiquated on the types of jobs these people can do. And so they don't need the benefits. So I'll have that list for you. And then I had to play you the sound of this TikToker who's kind of flipping the script on pickup lines. And have you used a pickup line? Do pickup lines work for you? Is that something that, do you remember them? Are there any good ones that have always worked for you? And I'll play you that sound because it's really, really funny. And oh my God, I cannot let this go without go to news without saying, Andreas, $300.
Oh my God, Andreas, what are you doing? You're so nice.
And not only, Andreas is, if anybody that watches the show knows that Andreas is a huge supporter. I know Mark always says, I'm not going to cry. I'm totally getting weepy right now. Andreas, you've been such a huge supporter of the show. You've reached out to me personally. We totally appreciate it. I'm getting all misty. It just shows me that you like the show and you like what we're doing. And then on top of it, I'm right about the pizza at Taco Bell. That is just icing on the cake, Andreas. It is icing on the cake. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm at a loss for words right now about it, but thank you. And we appreciate you so very much. So thank you to everyone that donates in the super chat, Andreas.
The kindness. I'm moved and touched and grateful. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's do some news. We'll get into all of that right after Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report would be sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Well, let's get right into it because the man who runs Southwest Airlines says My bad. I'm sorry. Basically, he is apologizing after thousands of canceled flights left angry travelers stranded or scrambling again today. CEO Bob Jordan says he is truly sorry and that there is a massive effort to stabilize the airline and get things back to normal. Winter storms and huge operational challenges sent Southwest into a total meltdown this week. Matter of fact, there are thousands of travelers right now struggling to find their luggage after mass cancellations of Southwest Airlines flight. Southwest just announced plans to fly only 1/3 of its schedule in the upcoming days nationwide. Many customers have already rented cars or booked other flights, but their luggage has stayed with the Dallas-based carrier, unfortunately. So what to do? What to do about that? And President Biden is touting the saying that while the end of the Trump era border policy known as Title 42 is overdue, it must now be enforced. The Supreme Court voted 5-4 to grant an emergency request from 19 Republican states attorneys general to keep in place for the time being the policy that allows border officials to turn away asylum seekers for public health concerns like COVID. And speaking of health, we've got someone who is not doing well. Pope Francis is asking for prayers for former Pope Benedict the 16th, saying his predecessor is very sick. Francis made the surprise appeal today at the end of his general audience. The 95-year-old Benedict resigned in 2013 for some health reasons. Off we go to Hollywood. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass overruling a plan that would have lit up the Hollywood sign. Former Mayor Eric Garcetti launched a pilot program that would have illuminated this California landmark, but Bass rescinded the program on her 10th day of office. Bass told the news department there in Southern California, the Eyewitness News, that the project would have cost $600,000 this year. She says she thinks the community would rather use that money to put up a new fence and hire park rangers, among other initiatives, instead of lighting up the Hollywood sign. That is a no-go. And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses, so if you need help with your taxes, 888-TAX-DEAL or MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you for joining us on the second hour of the Nikki Medoro Show, Monday through Friday, starting at noon Pacific time. And a big shout out once again to Andreas with that amazing $300 super sticker donation. I appreciate you. I love everybody that's been donating. It just blows my mind. Richard also with the $20 super sticker. You
Richard,
guys
thank you.
are
That's
so
nice.
very generous. And please click that thumbs up button. It's free. You know, to spend $1, just one little click, rub it, smash it. I don't care. You can hit it with your nose for all I care. There you go. Rub it. Caress it. Love it like you do. All right. All right, let's get into some New Year's resolutions. Do you set New Year's resolutions, Kim McAllister?
I have in the past.
What have they been?
You know, get in better shape or
do all those things.
I have set goals for myself and achieved them. So I know it's possible. But for some reason, the grandiose nature of a New Year's resolution always seems to fail.
Okay. So what are the types of resolutions that you've made that you've stuck with?
So not a New Year's resolution, but I stopped drinking Diet Coke.
That's a good one. That's an absolute good one.
It may seem silly, but it was my drink of choice for many, many, many years.
Right.
And I knew that it was unhealthy. And I knew that it has chemicals and whatever. I knew I wanted to stop drinking it.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the birth of my second child, I knew if I started again, I would never stop. So I just never started.
There you go.
But then I started drinking root beer. My doctor's like, yeah, no, and I don't think so. So then my goal was no more sugary drinks. And
there you go.
For at least 5 years, no sugary drinks for me. I have my iced tea And I have
Okay.
I call it fizzy water, my Waterloo or LaCroix, and
Okay.
that's it. So no, I mean, occasionally, like maybe once in the summer, I get talked,
Yeah, like a special treat.
but there's no sugar drinks. There's no soda. There's no any drinks that have sugar. I don't do it.
So, and how do you feel? I mean, you must feel great.
Well, I mean, now it's a normal state of being. Of course, I have to cut sugar out of other parts of my life, but I once interviewed the health director for the city of San Francisco, and this is back when they were trying to get an extra tax put on sugary drinks. And
Mhm.
he said your body reacts completely differently when you drink sugar versus when you eat it with, when in a food, more solid substance. It's
Oh.
it's like he goes, it's like mainlining sugar. So he said, if you cut out the drinks, you've done yourself a great service. So I took that as real.
Yeah.
He had a great scientific explanation at the time. I still have it somewhere on tape, and sometimes I listen to it. But it's about what sugary drinks do to your body versus just eating like a piece of candy, and how the difference with when it's wrapped up with carbs or when it's wrapped up with some
Mhm.
type of food, how your body takes it differently.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, so there's new research out from the National Eating Disorders Association, and food, getting healthy, doing all those sorts of things was a popular New Year's resolution, but they're saying that experts are saying you should take food and body concerns off the table.
Hmm.
They say there's this reinforcement that you should be shameful about yourself or your body in some sort
Yeah.
of way. And weight loss is about saying, I take responsibility for my body and my weight because that's what my culture expects from me. And so weight loss is a way that people perform this understanding. And so they're saying, do other things. I think what you're saying is, I'm going to make this change because I know it's not good for me, but it's
Right.
not as if you expect it to fix every sort of issue in your life. You're just setting
No.
a specific goal. And
Right.
that's the other thing. They're thinking, experts are saying, you shouldn't even use the word resolution. You should
Right.
use the word goal, because a
Right.
goal requires you to do that. What? Like, it's the time, it's the plan, it's those
Right.
sorts of things. It's not get healthy. It is, what are you going to do? I'm going to walk for 30 minutes 3 times a week, right?
Right.
Like, make it measurable, and that way you can do it. Now, here's another question, Kim. Have your children ever set resolutions?
I don't think they have. Other than I think Julia might have set one once to get herself better organized at school.
Oh, that's a good one.
Hmm. Yeah.
I like that one.
She was
Now,
having some trouble kind of managing when the assignments were due, type of thing. So
hmm,
she got a calendar, she developed a system, and she tried to, go against her nature and plan things out and organize a little bit.
how'd she do? Did she succeed?
Mm.
Was this a recent one? Was this
There's
recent year?
it was
Okay.
a recent years. There's more work to be done there for sure, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's a goal. It's a goal, right? So my son always sets goals for himself. So he has developed over the past couple of months this habit, I guess I would call it. And no, in my opinion, I don't know who, it just popped into his head on his own, where he works out every night. Now, it's not
Okay.
like he sets up his own, he goes in his bedroom. He's so cute.
Mhm.
I think you might be listening to me right now. He's so cute. So it's like almost bedtime, right? And we're like, okay, you have to brush your teeth. He's like, oh, I got to get my workout in. He set a goal where he was going to do a certain number of jumping jacks or push-ups or whatever for like a month. And then he did it. And I remember the only thing I said to him was like, well, why stop? Right? I'm like, if
Yeah.
you doing it and you feel good, that's great. But again, because of the age we live in, there are some things parents should keep in mind when this time of year comes around and kids are like, I'm setting this resolution for myself. They're saying research shows children are developing self-esteem and body confidence issues as early as the 3 to 5 age group.
Wow.
And a lot of this is spurred on, by social media. They see all these things. This is obviously popular during New Year's Eve. So Sean Tams with the National Children's Hospital in Ohio explains there's a difference between goals and resolutions. And if there's anybody that you should really be promoting goals and not resolutions to, it is kids. They say
Mhm.
not that self-improvement doesn't have its place, but he calls this balanced thinking a skill we need to teach more than blindly determined resolutions. For instance, I can see the areas where I can do better, and I can see the areas where I'm already awesome, which is like, I want to be a better soccer player, right? I want to work on that sort of skill instead of there's something wrong with me that I need to fix. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I don't talk to my kids about resolutions. Like I mentioned, my son just sets these like rando goals for himself, which I'm like, good on you,
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, I've never had a resolution that I've made at New Year's that I've stuck with. I did
No.
quit smoking, but that was never tied to the new year. I stopped smoking in the middle of the year, I think it was, and totally was nicotine free after my sister-in-law's wedding. And I've stayed that way forever. But
Good for
since
you.
then, so it's probably been about 8 years or so that I haven't smoked cigarettes, or had nicotine in my body, because I vaped to get to quit smoking. But
that wasn't a New Year's resolution, was it?
No. It was, I'm so disappointed in myself that I'm still freaking smoking.
See, and that's the thing that I think New Year's resolutions can do. If you fail, then it feels like the rest of the year's just shot. There's no point to try again.
Right.
Conversely, if you start talking about things you'd like to do, instead of like making this big plan and that's it, I'm doing it this way, then it gets you thinking about at least the things that you would like to change and the things you can do for yourself. So there's a good part of it in that it gets you thinking about things, but the bad part is that it can just feel like a total failure. And I hate that.
Yeah, especially like when mid-January or February comes around and it stopped for some reason, or you didn't achieve it, you can feel really sad at the beginning of the year, and you don't want to start your year like that.
No.
Murphy writes in, I cut out all sugar 6 months before I turned 50 as a goal to be healthier in my 50s. Lost 50 pounds. And my whole body feels better. No joint pain. No more blood sugar crash headaches. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I cut out a lot of sugar in my drinks. I'm not a soda drinker, so it wasn't really hard for me to do that. If I do drink soda, it probably has booze in it. I could probably drink less, although I try to keep, a handle on that. For me,
Jacob just brought me this little, he brought me cut an orange, and he brought me a glass of water with an orange on the side. Just so cute.
Is he like listening to the show? He's like, here, Mom.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, you look like you need a drink. There you go. So, I mean, I would like to exercise more, only because I know how good I feel, not because I'm trying to reach some sort of kind of weight loss goal or anything like that. But yeah, New Year's resolutions, you can make a New Year's resolution no matter what day of the year it is, right? I mean, you could just decide when you decide to get it done. Did you see Shaquille O'Neal? He's lost 40 pounds.
Oh.
He has a goal. His goal is to, quote, do an underwear ad with my sons. That's what he said. He's doing this virtual reality New Year's Eve countdown special. So he was being interviewed by Entertainment Tonight. He said, I lost 40 pounds. I need to lose about 20 more, but it's impressive. He says, I'm going to get real chiseled up and do an underwear ad with my sons. He has 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. He turns 51 on March 6th. And his doctors, he had some blood work done, and that's what kind of spurred this whole weight loss thing. That guy is huge. He came to Station X one time.
Yeah.
And I stood next. Oh God, I wish I could find the picture right now. I mean, he is so tall. I don't even think I came up to the middle of his chest. I mean, it was ridiculous how short I was in comparison. Our good friend Mud actually was like, I'll put you on my shoulders and we'll see if we're as tall as he is. And I was like, I am not doing that. But yeah, it's he's lost. So good on Shaquille O'Neal, and he has a goal, not a resolution, to do an underwear ad apparently with his kids. Okay, I do have time. Okay, so I want to talk about Social Security. Is anybody in the live chat on Social Security disability benefits? I know there's a difference. Somebody was saying, he's like, you're mixing up Social Security with the disability payments. It comes through Social Security. So there is a system in place on how they decide whether or not you get a disability benefit payment through Social Security. Okay. And it's kind of surprising. There's this article in the Washington Post where a Social Security judge decides, and they have the story of this guy, Robert Hurd, who had to go before a Social Security judge to decide whether he qualified for disability benefits. Now, this guy had 2 strokes, but he's only 47 years old. Okay, so he's a kind of a young guy, an electrician, but he can't speak. He has an enlarged heart, and he gets these violent tremors. And so he's trying to go and get these disability payments. Well, one of the steps on whether or not, and there's several steps on whether or not someone is approved. The first step is a work test. So they ask this question: is the claimant engaging in substantial gainful activity or work that earns more than $1,470 a month, or $2,460 if you're blind? Okay. The disability must be expected to result in death or last longer than 12 months. If you say no, then you get to keep going. If you say yes, then your disability claim is denied. Okay. So let's say you say no. Then there's the severity test. The severity test is this question: does the claimant have a severe impairment or a combination of impairments? If it's no, denied. If it's yes, then you go to step 3, a medical listings test. Does the claimant's condition meet Social Security's list of impairments that qualify for benefits? If you say yes, it's all right. But if it's not, then there's an assessment of whether or not you can do another job. And this is the kicker. So there's a work test. Can the claimant make an adjustment to other work that exists in significant numbers in the national economy? And this is what this article is all about, because there are a number of jobs that are on this list that supposedly, and many without evidence, have a large number of people doing said jobs. And yet, if you ask anybody else, those jobs are obsolete. So let me see if you guys can see this picture. I pulled it. Can you see it? It's tiny. Okay, I'm sorry. So some of these jobs that are on that screen right there, let me bring it up. Document preparer in microfilming, okay, which in the age of the internet is kind of a stretch, but this has the most estimated number of jobs at around 16,000. A telephone quotation clerk, they claim there are about 3,000 of those jobs. A call out operator. I mean, everyone has a cell phone nowadays. They claim there's 2,000 of those jobs. A nut sorter. Okay. Now I know there's assembly lines, but they're claiming that there's almost 2,000 people or 2,000 jobs available at canning and preserving companies for a nut sorter. Okay.
If you can't speak and you have tremors, how do you sort nuts?
Exactly. There's a film touch-up inspector. This is under electronic components. They say there's about 1,000 jobs of those. A tube operator. This is in the clerical and kindred department. There's about 1,000 of those. It's a lot of these jobs they're saying are completely obsolete. So in 2022, it's not easy to find a job as a nut sorter in the national economy. And that's someone who observes nut meats. That's the definition of it. Okay. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but enough for this guy to be like, I could do that job. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is obviously part of the Labor Department, have been claiming they're going to update the system, because do you want to know the last time that this list, which again is the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, the last time it was updated was 1977.
Wow.
And yet, this is the list that is done to deny people disability benefit payments, because they claim there are enough of these types of jobs for you to do so you can keep working. Isn't that crazy? It is just nuts.
It's outrageous. Nuts. Speaking of nuts.
It's nuts. So Social Security relies on this list that it again assess people based on their capacity to work. It lists 137 unskilled sedentary jobs, but in reality, according to the Washington Post, most of those occupations were offshored, outsourced and shifted to skilled work decades ago, and many have flat out disappeared. They have spent $300 million, taxpayer dollars, to apparently update this list, and it still has not been updated. A 2011 study that was commissioned by Social Security found the 11 most commonly cited jobs by disability examiners in denying benefits were obsolete, and little has changed.
Ridiculous. Hey, if it works for them in denying more benefits, that they have a little, impetus to change it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, except for the fact that they took $300 million of taxpayer money just for that goal. And anybody that says we have a list of jobs and it hasn't been updated since 1977 should be ashamed of themselves. Think about the things that have changed since 1977. It's crazy. Let's read some comments. Michelle writes in, the process pisses me off. I had to get a lawyer and file an appeal. She said they need to stop denying people who need help. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy that people, again, they're not just looking for Social Security. They're on disability. Now, I am positive there are some people that try to get disability payments and they're not really disabled. We hear those people, they find those people. You can get in real trouble if you're one of those people. But I'm sure a large amount of people need the money, and it's not a lot of money. Eric writes in, benefits, no, work till you die. Can't work, die. I mean, it seems heartless. So let's see. In California, of course, we pay the highest supplements, making the average payment in California $729 per month. So this is the disability payment. Now, just Social Security, though, if you're just looking for Social Security, the monthly maximum federal amounts for next year, for 2023, $914 for an eligible individual. This is just Social Security.
I don't know how you live on that.
$1,371 for an eligible individual with an eligible spouse, and $458 for an essential person. For an essential person. I don't know if that's kids or something like that. But yeah, okay. It's crazy. And again, California, remember, has the highest supplement, and it's only $729. I think the average is, in 2022, the average SSI payment for adults was $604 a month. Look, people, Social Security is not going to be there for you. I know a lot of people say it was never set up to be, but they don't mind taking it out of our paychecks every single year, every single paycheck that, we work. But God forbid you should want that disability payment, and they'll just say, nope, too bad. Yeah. So sad. Did you hear about this? Just speaking of work, this boss, where was this? Hold on, let me bring this up. Oh, it was in Oklahoma. This employee, Black employee, sued his Oklahoma-based company. It's American Piping Inspection. I mean, talk about a work environment that you don't want to be at. This isn't a disability. I did have a disability story I'll get to. But this guy actually won. They settled with him. The company has to pay him $250. This is in Oklahoma. Apparently, he was hired as a radiographer in Midland, Texas office in 2017. An X-ray image device that inspects pipelines, okay? The lawsuit alleges that this employee, yes, who happened to be Black, had a supervisor. The supervisor used the N-word to refer to him. What did he say? In one of the jokes, this is what the supervisor said. What is the best way to see a Black man? At the end of a scope. And the supervisor gestured at him as if aiming a firearm. Apparently, the employee voiced his concerns to the company vice president, but no action was taken. The racist behavior continued. He also tried speaking to the supervisor directly, and the guy responded with quote unquote sarcastic apologies, and nothing changed. And then, to add insult to injury, the company started punishing the employee for standing up for himself, falsely citing him for improperly storing and logging equipment, and then he was fired in 2018. So then he sued.
Lawsuit. Yeah,
he sued, and they're paying $250,000 in damages, and they need to revise their anti-discrimination policy. Speaking of discrimination, though, a company pulled a man's job offer. It was a stainless steel manufacturer, offered a man a job and then took it back. And why? Because they learned that he takes a prescription anxiety medication.
Does he have a job where that would get in the way?
This is a stainless steel manufacturer. I don't know. So they pulled the job offer. This is Outacampu Stainless USA. It's headquartered in Alabama. The man apparently was capable of working as an entry operator in the company's melt shop with or without accommodation, but the job was never offered. So they settled for $50,000. They say before disqualifying an applicant based on a disability-related medication, an employer should determine whether use of the medication poses an actual and not merely possible safety issue. So apparently they interviewed the guy. He was upfront about his condition. Apparently it affects his sleep, thinking, concentration, time management, and work. So he was prescribed Xanax for his condition. He received his job offer. He had to pass a health exam. He told the health center he takes Xanax, and apparently the job offer was then pulled. I mean, what do you think? Do you think working with stainless steel, that's something that you would be concerned about?
Yeah.
I mean, he would need, I could understand why, but I would want to see him do the job and say, look, there's always probation periods, right? Like if we're seeing something happen, no?
Yeah. There's some things where I think maybe, it's not the job for you. Like if you have high anxiety, then putting you in a place where, it could stress you out and endanger your life it's not good for the business. It's not good for you either.
Right.
I don't know. I'm
I
on
mean,
the
it would
fence on
matter
that
if he was on Xanax while he was on the job, or if he's only taking it to help him sleep. Those are two
Right.
completely different things. I mean, you could take medication 8 hours before your shift and you'll be fine. And so if it's something like that, but apparently they sided with the man. They say that the company relied on the health center's opinion as to whether the man could perform the job safely. And they're required under the ADA to ensure that any offer pre-employment medical screening is an individualized assessment of the applicant, and kind of not this broad brush of, oh, you're on Xanax, so that must mean you can't do X, Y, and Z job. So there you go. Just be careful at your workplace. And definitely, I know I'm seeing a lot of these comments about Social Security disability payments being denied. It's crazy what some of you are going through. But yeah, it's something that needs to be fixed. Going back to that obsolete jobs list. Absolutely. Oh, here we go. Buck Meadows. Recently, he says, it is average of $1,400 a month. You can max out at $3,000 a month. The nice thing is it's increasing to 8.7% next month. Are you talking, Buck, just about Social Security, or are you talking about the disability payments? Because those are two different things. There's a supplement. And again, California, I think, has the highest supplement at $729, but I just did that through a quick Google search. But yeah, I mean, they're taking it out of every paycheck. They don't seem to care. All right, we'll lighten things up when we come back after Kim's news. Tell me in the chat room, have you ever used or has a pickup line ever worked on you or for you? There is this TikToker, and I'll play you the sound of it. I have some pictures of her doing it, who is kind of flipping the script on pickup lines. And when you listen to it, I want you to tell me, okay? I want you to tell me, would it have worked on you, and why do you think it worked or didn't work? And how should people kind of communicate with those that they might see randomly? They want to get to know, do pickup lines work? Should they be used, or should they never ever be used? All right, that's coming up. But first, let's take a look at some news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Well, it is official. The United States is, if I can get to the picture here, is indeed putting new COVID testing requirements in place for all travelers from China now. This because of a surge of infections. Beginning January 5th, all travelers to the U.S. from China have to take a COVID test no more than 2 days before travel, and then they'll have to provide a negative test before boarding their flight as well. The testing applies to anyone 2 years and older. Again, that is for travelers from China to the United States. The San Joaquin County District Attorney's Office is adding 4 new murder charges for the alleged serial shooter Wesley Brownlee, including a new case out of the East Bay. Brownlee is the accused Stockton serial killer. He's now being charged for the alleged murder of Juan Alexander Vasquez out of Alameda County and a new Alameda County victim, Mervyn Harmon. Additionally, the DA is charging Wesley for allegedly murdering 3 more San Joaquin County residents as well. And the man who is accused of attacking Nancy Pelosi's husband is once again pleading not guilty. David DePape is facing numerous charges, including attempted murder after allegedly breaking into the couple's San Francisco home in October, wanting to kidnap Speaker Pelosi, instead attacking her husband, Paul. His next court appearance will be late February to set a date for his new trial. Don't usually cover this kind of thing, but I'll tell you what, it's kind of a big chase going on. California Highway Patrol chased a stolen vehicle for nearly 70 miles this morning. The pursuit started in Elk Grove when officers tried to pull over the driver of a stolen car. Driver apparently taking off. The chase continued onto Interstate 80 toward the Bay Area. It ended here, you can see, at Highway 37 in Vallejo. That is where officers closed the westbound lanes of Interstate 80 and put down some spike strips, blew out the tires on that car. The officers then pinned the car against the guardrail in the median, and they were able to take the driver and 3 passengers into custody. So all the way from Elk Grove to Vallejo, this police pursuit. The already massive Mega Millions jackpot rolling over once again. No prize winner last night. Now the estimated prize is at, you ready for this? $640 million.
What?
I know. It's crazy. I skipped a story. This is it. It is California looking to use the sun to help with the ongoing drought crisis. Construction for Project Nexus is set to begin next year at the Turlock Irrigation District. This site is about 90 miles south of Sacramento. They're going to use solar panels to cover 3 sections of canals. It'll look something a little like what you're seeing on the screen there. The TID lists a few goals with the project, like increasing renewable power, decreasing water evaporation. Research from UC Merced showed using solar panels over almost 4,000 miles of canals could save us 63 billion gallons of water per year. Construction originally going to start this year, but supply chain issues kind of pushed everything back in this area. But it's kind of exciting to think that we could not only get more power, but also save water at the same time. So that's I don't know. Nice. I think that's kind of a good idea. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that anything that'll help, right? Anything that'll help.
I'm trying to find this picture, but I'm having a hard time getting it. Yep, it's an error. So my bad. I'm sorry about that. But I will tell you that there is an interesting story, and this one is out of the Santa Cruz area, where a geological find made at the Capitola Beach is making headlines. Have you seen this? I tried to get the fossil up, but San Jose State University professor Dustin Mulvaney says the king tides over the weekend revealed a trove of fossils buried millions of years ago. 3-foot-long specimens have been determined to be the cervical vertebra of a 3 to 4 million year old baleen whale. Is what it is. You looking for it?
I'm looking for it. Okay.
It's pretty cool. At first they didn't know, like, what is this thing? What is it? What is going on? I'll see if I can share it as well. And now they're like, yeah, it is this 3 to 4 million year old baleen whale, and that is its cervical vertebra that was stamped into this,
that's
stone.
Cool.
There's a fossil. Really cool. Yeah.
That is really awesome. That's cool. I like
this report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, don't take it in the spine like the whale. Give Steve a call. MoskowitzLLC.com, the website. And we thank you for being a founding sponsor here on the Nikki Medoro Show. I'm
Perfect.
Kim McAllister on It's the Nikki Medoro Show.
There you go.
Right
there you go. All right, Kim McAllister. So tell me the moment you first met your husband. Did he use a pickup line on you? Did he do anything that grabbed your attention?
It was his voice because I met him over the phone.
Oh, okay. So did he use any lines on you though?
No, the tone of it, I just hooked me right away, but no pickup lines. Mm-mm.
No pickup lines. So my husband didn't, like he came into my 17th birthday party. Okay. So at the time I was 17. I think it was my 17th birthday party. And he was just holding a case of beer and he's like, I got this for you. That was it. I was hooked. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't interested in my husband at the time because I was interested in somebody else at the time, but he won me over. My husband has great one-liners. I will tell you that. Like, he's a really funny guy, not kind of a pickup line kind of guy, but he definitely has he's made me laugh throughout my life with these kind of one-liners. But you guys tell me in the chat, do you or have you ever used a pickup line? What was it? What would work? What wouldn't work on you? Because there's this TikToker, and I'm going to bring it up. I pulled the sound of it, and I'll show you some pictures. But her name is Gabby Moon. Pause this. Gabby Moon, okay? And she's really, really cute. I'm going to play you her first using pickup lines on guys. So it's kind of flipping the script a little bit on what works and what doesn't. Okay, so here she is. Again, Gabby Moon is her name on TikTok, picking up guys using lines that guys would typically use on girls.
Are you a magician? Because abracadam. Oh, I know, right?
What's your name?
I'm Laura.
Laura?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Can I take you out sometime?
Yeah, can I take you out sometime?
Yeah, you can.
All right, sounds good.
Do you have a name, or can I call you mine?
Wow, that was good.
Thank you.
High five.
Can I get your number?
Yeah.
All right. By any chance, do you have a map?
Map? No, I don't.
Okay, well, that's fine, because I keep getting lost in your eyes. Can I get your number?
Yeah, you can have
it. All right.
So like every single guy, well, almost. So I just kind of spliced a couple of those together. There was some like, I have a girlfriend. Oh, what was one? There was like, she said this one that didn't really work because the guy didn't even look at it. She's like, are you Japanese? And he's like, no, I'm not Japanese. And then she said, oh, I'm going to blow it. Something about her panties, like Japanese, these panties or something like this. And I was like, no, that's not going to work. But what I found was when I was watching these videos, it seemed like the guys were instantly flattered. Like they knew that she was using a line on them. Right. And that kind of like endeared her to them and it worked. Now here's the same girl.
She has such confidence.
Thank you. I mean,
can you imagine doing that? I could never.
I feel like, well, obviously she was doing it for TikTok. There was, you could
true.
do the sound or whatever. So, but still, even if I was doing it for TikTok, I would be, I think I would be too shy to actually go up to these people. Now I want to play you, same girl. Okay. But this time she's not going up to guys. She's going up to girls and just listen to the way she talks to girls and their responses. Here we go.
I think you're insanely hot.
Thank you.
I was wondering if I could take you out sometime.
I'm actually like totally straight, so I like wouldn't, but
I can probably change you. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's convincing, honestly.
Okay, so can I get your number? I just wanted to let you know that I think you're really hot. Is there any way I could take you out sometime?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Really? Oh, yay.
Sure.
Here, I'll get your number.
Okay.
Excuse me, are you single?
Yes.
Looks like it's your lucky day, because I am too. Can I take you out sometime?
I'm actually, like, talking to someone.
Really?
Like, single, but, like...
Okay, well, I'd still like to take you out.
I mean, like, maybe.
Okay, can I get your number?
Yeah.
I I love it because she's like, I'm single. There were so many girls that were like, I'm straight. And she's like, and do you think it would have been the same reaction if it was a guy that said that to, let's say, a lesbian? Like, oh, well, I could change you. I don't think so.
No. Mm-mm.
But she did lead kind of with the same line, like, you're hot. Can I take you out?
Right.
So is that just what guys need to say, or is it different because it was simply a woman that was saying it to another woman?
I think it's different when a woman is saying it. I think
Yeah.
women get all kinds of leeway that men don't get. If a man walked up and said, "You're hot, let me take you out," that would be like, ugh, that's what you
Right.
got?
Yeah.
That's
what
all you can
got?
come up with, No. It has to be more than a physical thing for a woman to say yes.
But then why does it work for a woman to say it against a woman, to say it to a woman? Like, you're hot. As a woman, wouldn't I be like, that's all you got? I mean, I wouldn't, but why is it different? Why, when a woman tells another woman that she's hot,
Right.
is it complimentary? But if a guy goes up to a woman and is like, you're hot, let me take you out, they're like, no, perv, back
No,
off.
right, pervy. Right? That was the word that came to my mind as well. I don't know. I think, well, first of all, it's harder for women to say no. People feel bad saying no, I
Yeah.
think. So, and then when you have a girl who's like, non-threatening coming at you, it's even harder to say no. I don't know. I think if it was a male coming at with the same words, it would have been a
Right.
different reaction.
Yeah, and then Buck writes in, she's too hot to make this video. There is something to be said with when the person comes up to you who is traditionally attractive.
Right.
Not even. I mean, she's just a cute girl, right? But cute girls coming on. Do men that are listening, if a girl goes up to you and like kind of takes the initiative, is she instantly more attractive to you? Because I feel like there are some definite points, in my opinion, and I'm not a man, but I would definitely give a girl points if I was a guy for kind of taking the bull by the horns and being like, hey, you want to go out with me? I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I would feel like at least some points would be given if
Yeah,
a girl decided to do it.
I think there are some men that don't like that. They want to be the
Well, you heard that first guy. He's like, "Can I take you out?" Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he seemed like he liked it.
Yeah.
CJ disagrees. He says, "Apologies, ladies, but that girl was super creepy." Um,
Really? Yeah, she was a little pushy for my taste. If someone says no, then that's a no.
yeah. I mean, if someone's like, "Well, I'm not into girls," and she's like, "Well, I feel like I could change you," but then the girl's like, "That's honestly convincing." I think maybe she was on the fence. like like for me it's like, no, I am straight. I am straight. But Eric writes in, confidence is definitely a turn on. If a
Yeah.
girl can go up to a guy and be like, you're very attractive, I would love to take you out, there has to be some points given for that. And then it's like the guy doesn't have to do, what do they say? It's like, I have to do all the work, I have to ask the woman out, and it has to be intimidating. I
Right.
mean, let's just remember like high school dances or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I went to an all-girls school, so I always had to ask, I always had to ask the guy out, which was hard to do. But if I didn't have a boyfriend and I wanted to go to the dance, a guy wasn't going to ask me to my own dance. So I had to do it, which is a great kind of skill to have, I would
Mhm.
say. But if I'm at a co-ed school and the onus was always on the guy, and then you always have to deal with that rejection, that
Yeah.
has to be hard. It really does. Let's see. Oh, I don't know what Mo's talking about. That's when you make sure you have nothing in your back pocket and don't let them brush up against you. I don't know what you're talking
Oh,
about there,
I
buddy.
don't know either.
Let's see. Buck says, if a girl comes up to me and actually speaks, well, I'd probably propose marriage. That's an interesting take, Buck, because there was this story that I wanted to see. Yeah, I like strong, independent women. That's true. There was this story that I was going to get to, and I guess I could squeeze it in because it kind of relates to all of this. Where was it? There is a woman who charges $480 an hour to help millennials overcome phone phobia. They have a fear of obviously talking on the phone. The woman's name is Mary Jane Copps. She coaches youth to help them feel more confident or less fearful of speaking with people over the phone. She's all $480 an hour for one-on-one coaching, $365 for 30-minute webinars. She also trains staff at various corporations starting at $3,500 a day.
Yeah.
And she says, Gen Z have never had the skills given to them. In
Yeah.
my generation, the phone was on the wall in everyone's house, and we were taught
Right.
to answer it and make calls. Now we have several generations that were never taught anything about talking on the phone,
Yep.
and people have removed phones from their homes. I remember my dad, and we didn't do it all the time, but he would always lecture the people that called our house. But he said, when you call somebody's house and the parent answers the phone, you're supposed to be like, "Hi, Mrs. So-and-so, this is Nikki. Is so-and-so there?" That's what I was
Right.
supposed to say every
Yeah.
single time, instead of, "Is so-and-so there?" Like, not
You
introducing
say
yourself.
hello, you
Right.
identify yourself. Right.
Yes,
But
exactly.
and also there's something about saying goodbye, right?
Right.
Because but people that have not like learned phone etiquette over the years don't know that. So you'll have people just clicking off.
Oh, yeah.
And I to tell Julia, you don't just click. You have to say thank you for calling, goodbye, or at least,
Yes.
nice talking to you, see you later, whatever. At least note that the conversation is coming to a close and say goodbye to the person.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, and it's hard. I mean, if you don't have the experience of answering, talking, and saying goodbye on the phone in front of your parents, unless they're like you and you hear
Mhm.
those interactions, how are kids ever supposed to know? And now you don't have to identify yourself on the phone because the phone is already taking care of that for you.
Right.
So there are these steps that are missing just naturally because of the technology, but there is something to be said with, having etiquette. I remember, like in Girl Scouts or whatever, I'd have to go to a neighbor's house to sell cookies. And my parents would always say, introduce yourself. And I felt so awkward because I was like, they know who I am. I'm standing in front of them. Do I really say, "Hi, I'm
Yeah.
Nikki"? But they're like, "Yes, you're Nikki. You're in troop so, 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 so."
Don't you feel like Girl Scouts help with that, with etiquette and
Yeah.
talking to people and things?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, yeah, the etiquette is there, talking with people, having those interactions with people, and hell, it can
Still,
help you be the next love of your life.
$400 an hour to teach someone how to talk on the phone. I think I can handle that myself.
As a parent, but what if you're a
Yeah.
Gen Zer and you're trying to get that job and they're like, you have to answer the phone and you have a fear of doing it because you've never, had that kind of training. I think it's still too high though.
It's too much.
She
Yeah.
she has a bit of a racket going
It's
on
not
there.
that hard. We all learned it without trouble on our own.
Well,
Hello, be polite, goodbye. The end. Thank you for
yes.
calling.
You got a side hustle going, Kim McAllister. You
Well,
can just do it.
it's just about using good manners. That's
Well,
all it is.
I agree. You got to go to the experts though for some things. And if you are having tax problems, for instance, people,
Mhm.
there is one person you need to call, and that is the expert, Mr. Steve Moskowitz with Moskowitz LLP. And Steve, we were talking about, interacting with people, having, the right phone conversation, knowing what to say. You know what to say if, let's say, the IRS comes a calling for one of your clients.
Yes, we start off by answering the phone saying, hello.
Thank you for calling Moskowitz
mind blowing.
LLP.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've called us.
How
I
can
am
we
Steve
help you
Moskowitz.
today?
I can help you. And Steve, you can help people. And people don't need to be big companies, multimillionaires. They could be average Joes and Janes and everything in between.
Absolutely. And, as far as talking to somebody on the phone, even if you know how to say hello and not just hang up on somebody, which I know a lot of people do nowadays,
Yeah.
you really don't want to be talking to an IRS person because
Mm-mm.
that's like stepping into a boxing ring with a professional heavyweight.
Yeah.
Nobody but another heavyweight better get in the ring. And the tough guy in the bar is no match for a professional heavyweight. And in almost all cases, we go to the IRS and talk to them for you. And, people, one of the things I've always talked about, you should take everything to which you're legally entitled, no more and no less. But so many people cheat themselves because they're so terrified that maybe they would get audited. And my response is this: do you drive a vehicle?
Mhm.
Yes. Well, you realize at some point in your driving career, a police officer may pull you over. That's a confrontation with organized law enforcement, a person with a badge and a gun and lots of friends. And do you say, I'll never drive a vehicle because I may get pulled over someday? Of course not. You just take the precautions, you don't drink and drive, and you have a valid driver's license and registration insurance. You speak with the officer for a few minutes and you're on your way without a problem. The same way you wouldn't be afraid of driving, you shouldn't be afraid of taking everything to which you're legally entitled. And we take great efforts to explain to you, look, we're doing this, and here's why. For example, just before I called you, I was speaking with someone, and they were concerned about doing something. I said, well, look, here's what the law provides, and here's, under X, Y, and Z, here's why you're entitled to do this. And then you should take the full legal advantage, because remember, our tax system has two purposes. One, collect money from us, everybody knows. But the other one is a system of incentives. And what this person was talking to me about was taking a certain incentive and saying, but if I take this incentive, will I get audited? And my response is, so what if you do? It's
Right.
like if a cop stops you, so what? You have nothing to hide, not a problem. Here's my driver's license, etc. And go on your way. You don't stop driving.
No, and that's the thing, is you give people the freedom to live their lives without this worry that they're doing something wrong. And if they happen to do something wrong, that they're left stranded and they don't have help, because you are the help for them. So give Steve Moskowitz a call. The number is right on your screen. 888 tax deal, moskowitzllp.com, 888 tax deal, or moskowitzllp.com. Thank you, Steve, for all you do for everybody. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye. Yeah, so
Bye.
give him a call. It'll ease all of your fears. I'm telling you, people. Okay, so back to what we were talking about with the etiquette and the phone. This was so funny, and I just wanted to put it up there. Eric wrote this in. Oh no, that's the email one. Well, let me read it. I work with people who literally only read the preview pane of emails. If it's not in the first sentence, they won't read it. But he also wrote in this. I've got problems with friends my age knowing how to text. My sister and brother-in-law will send me novellas. I am guilty. This is the funniest story. I'm just going to throw this in before the end of the show. So my son, who just got his braces off, of course, 2 days later, lost the temporary retainer. It's somewhere in the house. I think the dog ate it, but nobody agrees with me because he hasn't pooped it out yet. But whatever, we can't find it.
Oh,
so I
that's
call.
gonna be something you don't want back in the mouth later on.
Well, exactly.
Right?
But yeah, we're not. It's not like that ring from yesterday, Kim. I would definitely not be putting it in the mouth. But what's funny is I've gotten into such a habit of voice texting my novellas to anybody.
Yeah.
That I talk in punctuation when I'm leaving a freaking message.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm leaving a message, a voicemail. And so I'm like, I said something to the effect of, yes, this
The
is
answer is
Dylan.
no,
That's his
period.
mom. Yeah, this is Dylan's mom.
Exclamation point.
He has lost the retainer, period. And I was like, I'm having the conversation on the voicemail. I'm like, period. I'm talking in punctuation. So it was all bad. If I could have taken back that voice message, I'm sure they were laughing
That's
at
pretty
me.
funny.
But yeah, I think that, interacting, communicating, it has changed so much. And the email thing, I have so many emails. An email back in the day was like, oh my God, I got an email, I have to check it. Now it's just like, I think it's understood that if you email, especially if it's my old Yahoo account, good luck to me seeing it.
Yeah.
I think it's a valid excuse that form of communication, it's not going away, but spam, like advertising, it can get so lost. I tried to keep the email for this show so clean, and I'm still doing it, but it's there. I could already see the creep, right, of all sorts of things coming into my email account, and it's exhausting. So yeah, I would say picking up the phone and calling somebody, obviously the most direct way. Texting is the most popular, and email, good luck to getting any sort of response.
There are some people, though, they don't want to talk to you anymore.
Oh, no.
I mean, they'd rather look at text, and so they
Yes.
never pick up a phone call, no matter who it's. Yeah, you're among them.
I
And
don't like
it's-
talking on the phone.
It's not like you don't like me, but sometimes I want to hear your voice and have the conversation.
You don't hear it enough right now. You don't hear it enough. I
Ugh.
hate talking on the phone. I mean, there's people like my
Yeah.
friend in Idaho, when she calls me, I pick up the phone because we don't talk as much. So it's not as easy. But if it's a quick thing, or sometimes my best friend that's 20 minutes away, we'll be texting back and forth. And then finally she's like, I'm just picking up the phone and calling you because I'm done texting.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things. But other times people will leave me a voicemail and I'm like, I pick up the phone and talk. I know it's awful, but I talk for a living. And so sometimes it's just like,
You don't
just
want
text
to.
me. I don't want to talk. You like talking on the phone?
I'm a phone
You're a
talker.
phoner?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a phone
My
talker.
stepmother hates it though. She has this what you were talking about earlier, kind of a phobia. You know,
Oh.
where it's everything she says, there's a space in between, like an awkward pause,
Oh,
and things are
okay.
stilted. Like, it takes her a minute to get comfortable to have a conversation. Otherwise, it's just kind of
Oh,
awkward.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a skill that we do need to work on. I don't know about paying that woman almost $500.
No.
You could pay me a fraction of that, and I'll teach you how to talk on the phone. I don't think there's anything wrong with not liking to talk on the phone. I
Yeah.
don't think ghosting people and not responding at all.
No.
But, you know, if somebody's reaching out and wants an answer, don't leave them on red, right?
Yeah.
Answer the text, answer the
I'm here.
voicemail, do
Sorry,
something.
holiday vacation. They won't leave me
Hi,
alone today.
Jacob. It's okay. I love
Hello.
seeing the face. Hello. All right. Well, that's our show. I do want to give some shouts out real quickly, though. We got some people donating. We have to wish a very happy birthday to Linda. Gave us $67 for every year of her life. She says, it's my birthday. Here's a gift as a thank you to both of you for bringing a couple of hours of happiness into all of our lives each weekday. $1 for each of my years. Happy birthday, Linda.
Happy
we
birthday.
love you.
Happy
Absolutely.
birthday, Linda.
Happy birthday, Linda.
There we go. Thank you to Jim Slayton with a $10 super sticker.
Thank you,
Eric
Jim.
with a $4 super sticker.
Rock on,
Chad,
Eric.
$5 one. And I mean,
Thank
I'm
you.
going to cry. Andreas, $300. Love you, love you, love you. Mwah. And then also Richard with a $20 super sticker. Mwah, to all of you. Happy birthday, Linda, once again. Thank you to everybody. Please click that thumbs up button. It supports our show. If you want to become part of our really cool club, become a Patreon subscriber. There's going to be exclusive stuff coming in the new year. Just go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com. You'll find all the links right there. If PayPal's easier for you, the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. That is another way to support us. We love all of you. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. And take it away, Jacob.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.